What is up, guys? Welcome to a brand new video. So today we're checking out my top 5 mid laners in 6.21. These are going to be the ones that I think you can use the best to climb with for the end of the season, plus a few honorable mentions at the end, and even a sneaky little tip to try with each champion. We're just going to jump straight in at number 5 with Ari. She's been like the mid champion for season 5 basically. I don't remember a time when she was actually terrible. You're always super safe, your mistakes don't get you killed, and it's actually so good. Like, you don't really realize it, but if you get ganked a few times, right, Ari normally survives. Imagine what happens if you didn't survive, right? You lost all that experience from the minion wave being pushing, you gave the enemy team more gold. A few kills can make a really big difference. Right now, there are normally 3 keys to mid lane, to be honest, like to hard carry anyway. You want your lane control, roaming, and a kill pressure. Lane control is like wave clear and pushing power. You can easy wave clear with a Q, plus she has sustain as well if she takes a bad trade. Roaming, you ultimate in from a whole screen away. Kill pressure, one charm is all you really need to set up a kill. It's low risk as well. Like, you ult in, you try and charm. If you miss it, you just ult out again, and it's kind of just a free reset until your next ultimate cooldown. Personally, she is the most well-rounded, I think, mid laner you can play. Easiest to not do a ton but still get carried, I guess, and you can roam to other lanes to help them win your lane, and it kind of like ticks every box, to be honest, and that's why she's number 5. The problem for me is she can't really hard carry. Like, if your team is bad, then she's kind of going to struggle, I think. When you're actually trying to carry with her, she's like a medium range burst mage, to be honest. That can make it a little bit difficult, but we did say we're going to give a tip for each of these. You can actually E-flash for an easy kill. So you start casting your charm, you immediately flash, and you can actually change the direction of your charm. The charm is going to come from where you are after you flash, just like Lee Sin can start to cast his ultimate, then flash behind for a super fast insect. So number 4 is going to be Xerath, especially now because 1, he's very good versus Syndra and other low range champions, and 2, the poke meta is 100% coming back right now. This is probably the difference between like my videos like these and other people's who do them as well. Like, I'm always trying to look for what is going to change in future so we can stay just a little bit ahead of the curve. Towers mean more right now, and the easiest way to get towers is to poke. Poke means you're just like gonna make them leave without actually defending the tower. Poke champions get punished in the lane more than anything, and there's no real assassins around right now to do that. Well, it's not that bad anyway, and it also punishes people who don't engage. The final thing is it's a good answer to tanks. Basically, your damage can reach the backline even with a tank in front of them. Tanks just can't do their job. Most people don't think about this at all, but tanks really mean nothing to Xerath except like blocking his stun, because your Q and your ult can reach past them anyway. In general though, you have good wave clear, you have decent mana sustain, and you can spam your spells. Late game, as long as you hit your spells, it's really hard to play against, and they can never really fight you properly. My tip for Xerath is actually to ward your raptors or your chickens behind you and go back and hit them with an auto over the wall to proc your passive and get your mana back. If you ever get zoned from the wave or you need more mana, this is a really easy way to get it from your passive. Number 3 is Vel'Koz, another poke champion. Well, kind of like hybrid poke and a burst, I guess. He's actually very good at the moment because he has decent matchups. Xerath is another champion who kind of outranges you though and spanks you. Another reason why Xerath is getting better at the moment. Apart from that guy though, like, poke is really high range and you're going to outrange most others. You sit back, you fire Qs out. If they get close, he knocks them up and he just blows his load. He's kind of a lot like Lux, but in my opinion right now comes online a bit earlier. So he does damage like earlier into the game, and it's more important how early we group and how early we have like Drake fights and tower fights. I feel like because he's kind of underrated and complicated, weird to play, bad players don't do a whole ton, good ones do a lot, and that is awkward to nerf and balance around. So far, right, I've left him alone. It probably means he'll stay as he is now for at least the end of the season, so you can play him until the end of season 6. But his team fight for me is the biggest thing. His ultimate just wrecks everyone. Like, a fed Syndra ruins one person, right? She does it very well. She obliterates them, but it's just one person. A fed Vel'Koz ruins your entire team. The tips for me are more about playstyle. Try not to actually chase people, let them come into you and combo into kills. There is also a sneaky tip though. If you fire your Q at weird angles and walk towards the enemy champion to auto attack them, they are actually going to be looking at you and they aren't looking at your Q now, which makes it very hard to dodge. It's kind of an easier way to hit your Qs actually. So number 2 is actually ironically going to be Syndra. I know we just said like Vel'Koz is better than Syndra in a team fight, but not really. They just do different jobs. At higher reload, Plat Plus, by the way, she is going to be number 1 in my opinion. You have a crazy amount of control in the lane phase, amazing wave clear, constant kill pressure, and high range constant poke. You can so easily zone most mages away from farm just by standing up in the lane, but remember we have the 3 keys, right? She can push super hard and control the lane. She can roam well, she can stun from range, ultimate burst. She has a kill pressure, easily one of the highest in the lane phase. Also, the build is really good for her right now. Morello is CDR, mana, and AP obviously. Then Rylai's slow to kite people, it's more tanky as well. Rylai's is so underrated on Syndra, seriously. Like, you can spam your your Q and just kite people around waiting for your cooldowns to come back up. I think everyone knows how good Syndra is, so we're just going to go into some tips. Like, prepare your 3 balls on the floor before a fight. You grab them with your W, throw them in. It's a wider stun to hit more people, but it's also more balls already there to buff your ultimate damage. Another one that I mention all the time is you ultimate first and then use your E to have a huge 7 or whatever ball stun on multiple people. These 2 tips can actually level up your Syndra play. Now, number 1 is going to be Annie. We said this the other day in the best champions video, but according to you guys actually in the comments, she's picked and banned a lot in other regions, but not so much in North America and Europe. The thing is, she is way too simple for the impact she has. Like, a very easy to hit tibbers, Q, W. That's the good thing. It means you can focus on your positioning, watch the fight more, because you know you have the combo and skill set down easily. That is very underrated. It's one of the reasons why I think a lot of people can be successful with Annie, but in the lane phase specifically, right, you free farm with your Q, you control with stun, pushing power is okay if you use your W as well. Your roaming is good, your team fights, you basically just flash out, but every time your ultimate is up, you really should go around and use it. This is going to help a lot in general just with your game impact, making you do more in a game. If you have the mental reminder, I guess, okay, I have my ult now what do I do with it? It makes sure you don't just autopilot and you don't do anything. Her burst is really just silly, to be honest. She can kind of get tanky too and does way more than people expect. She's simple to play, she's effective. What more could you really want? My tip though is to have 3 stacks on your passive so you're not actually ready for your stun yet. You fire your Q and you press E while your Q is in midair to make that Q stun. It's really hard to actually play around because you don't expect them to be able to stun because they only have 3 charges, but it does stun you and then it can set up the rest of the combo really easily. So for honorable mentions, we have 4. Kog'Maw AP is the first one. Poke is coming back and he's one of the old school champions. It's so weird because it obviously didn't work with the reworked Kog'Maw, but now it's back. I guess the new ult change helped him more as well. I've seen this a lot recently and it runs out of mana like a mofo, but it does so much damage. Give this a try. I promise you it is really insane. Lux is very similar to Vel'Koz and Xerath, but more of a utility role as well as poke and burst. I think she's really good right now. She does tons of damage, can carry hard with it, but I don't know. I feel like she just needs some time before she really takes over a game. The other 2 can do a bit more from range. They have more damage focus, I guess. She is still very solid though. Twisted Fate is like the ultimate roam god. He just pushes and roams the side lanes. It's very hard to control him and so hard to beat a good Twisted Fate. He can basically win a whole game if he roams enough, but he can also do nothing if he sits mid and doesn't move. Like, it's not the hardest solo carry champion maybe, but he can still win a game with his impacts around the map. The final one is a mention on Anivia. She's under the radar a bit more because she doesn't like being sniped by poke out of range of her ultimate. That is her biggest problem. She's kind of like short to mid range, I think, and if she can't get close, she can't do very much. She is still very, very strong, but the more poke comes in, the more you're going to be sad while playing her because you just can't get close enough. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching if you're still here, but for now, let's go to the robots.